Hallo, du wunderschönes Etwas und willkommen zum neuesten Video. Diesmal ist es ein bisschen anders. Das ist ein Interview. Ich weiß, ich bin gerade aktuell alleine da, aber das Video ist lang. Also das war ein sehr langes Interview, wie du ja schon hier unten siehst, wie lang das Video geht. Natürlich hatte ich keine Zeit, das Ganze zu übersetzen, wie in meinem Interview mit Mr. Noah Van Nguyen. Ähm, Hier bitte ich dich einfach dazu, das Ganze zu entschuldigen. Du weißt, normalerweise mache ich so etwas nicht. Das Ding ist einfach, ich hatte jetzt die Woche Bewerbungsgespräche, ich habe dieses Interview aufgenommen, ich habe mir Wohnungen angeschaut, weil langsam geht's voran. Und ich habe angefangen zu packen. Also der Umzug kommt bald. So, was bedeutet das? Und zwar, ich muss dich leider dazu bitten, ich zeige es hier auf dem anderen Kanal gerade, hier die Untertitel von YouTube zu verwenden. Diese funktionieren erstaunlich gut, muss man dazu sagen. Also du gehst einfach erstmal hier auf die Subtitles oder CC. Sobald die eingeschalten sind, Moment, macht man hier. Auf dem Handy steht da auch in einem kleinen Viereck CC. Gehst auf das Zahnrad und dann sagst du einfach nur Auto-Translate, suchst hier, je nachdem wie dein Operating System am Handy ist oder auf dem PC, hast du hier entweder, wo ist German? Ist es Deutsch? No? Weil ich habe ja hier schon German angeklickt. Deswegen, dann fällt es aus der Liste wohl raus. Gut zu wissen. Wie gesagt, diese funktionieren erstaunlich gut. Wie gesagt, es tut mir sehr leid, dass das Ganze jetzt so laufen muss. Hab hoffentlich Spaß mit dem Interview. Wenn dir das gefällt, ich werde. Er hat auch angeboten, noch weitere Interviews mit mir zu machen. Ich bin jetzt einfach mal so frech und gehe davon aus, eventuell können wir einen Podcast daraus machen. Dann natürlich nicht nur über Infinity, weil wir haben uns sehr gut verstanden. Ich, wie gesagt, ich bin jetzt einfach so frech und sage, es könnte ein Podcast werden. Was natürlich unglaublich cool wäre, wenn wir einfach viel mehr über Wargaming und Lore reden könnten. Aber dann vielen lieben Dank. Du weißt gar nicht, was mir das bedeutet, wenn du das so akzeptierst, dass ich es dieses Mal so machen muss. Es ist gerade einfach sonst zu viel. Ich kann keine 1,5 Stunden übersetzen. Ähm, und YouTube macht das ja eigentlich schon ganz gut. Wie gesagt, vielen lieben Dank. Es bedeutet mir unglaublich viel. Hab Spaß mit dem Video und bleib fantastisch. Wieso wink ich? Keine Ahnung. So, hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome. We have a guest here today. I already told you a couple of days ago, last week. I can't remember. Short-term memory loss. It comes with age, I think. Hope not. But yeah, let's introduce yourself, please. Who are you? What are you doing here?
I ask myself that most days. My name is Hydra. You may have seen me from the Dice Gods YouTube channel. I'm kind of the glorious face of that. I am a Infinity or Corvus Belli Warcore, so I play Infinity. I play Warcrow. I also play Flames of War, now Bolt Action, and Malifaux because I don't like having spare time. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And what I'm doing here is apparently you have questions, so we
A
can
couple.
answer as many of those as we can.
Thank you. Malifaux, that's also a game that I haven't heard for a while. Still have. Is it visible? It's mirrored. I don't know. Oh no, it's up here. You can't see the models. Um, but yeah. What are we going to do today? So obviously, I'm getting into Infinity right now. As of right now, I have only 3 models built, primed, and started to paint. But as with my community, we are, it's a Warhammer channel most of the time. We're getting into Conquest, getting into Shatterpoint, and now with another skirmish game because it's just so much more convenient with having a job, having a life. Infinity and Warcrow. What brought you to Infinity? That's the biggest question right now.
Um, kind of the end of 40k 5th edition, actually. That's the kind of time zone we're going back into. Because I actually started playing 40k with Rogue Trader because I'm that damn old. Talk about your short-term memory loss. I have to write everything down or it's gone. So yeah, so that way back when I started playing 40k, I took a bit of a break around second, and then came back to it sort of around third, but then left, and then fifth. Played heavily in fifth. Now I'm a Blood Angels player. That is
Ooh,
what we
nice.
do over here. Space vampires all the way. And then sixth dropped, and we stopped being Blood Angels, and we started being Red Ultramarines. And I was just like, no, this
No.
no, we're not Red Ultramarines. Sorry. I know they're glorious. We're better. So I sort of took a step away, but obviously I wanted to play something else. And in the area where I lived at that point in the south of the UK, there was a lot of historicals and there was a lot of 40k, and I wasn't quite ready to make the jump to historical at that point. It was not the direction I wanted to go. So we turned to the internet, and I started looking at various systems, and then I came across this Spanish game, Spanish-made war games. This is news, and saw some of the miniatures, specifically the old-style Marit for Aleph, which, I mean, you probably won't have seen this one. It's worth digging out, but she had 4 arms, bunny ears, a heavy machine gun, and combat heels. And I was like, what is this?
What?
This is glorious. This is the sword, this massive sword. And I was like, this is just completely insane. Looked more at Aleph, fell in love with all of the miniatures. No one that I knew played it. No one that I knew had heard of it. So I was like, right, I will. I'm doing this. Here we go. And I sold my my Blood Angels, picked up a whole load of Aleph, picked up Tohar because they were just literally coming out at that point. Got all the rule books and drowned myself in Infinity because the second edition, which was then N2, was quite a challenge to get into. There was no one around to help me. Ended up meeting a random guy on the internet for my first game. He came over. We spent 5 hours slapping at each other wildly, getting rules massively wrong, and had just so much fun. Just had so much fun with it. It was the most enjoyable, epically long game that I'd had.
Nice.
And then I just got more heavy into it. It just, yeah, it sort of grew from there. I became very, very heretical with it. It was like, have you played Infinity? You should play Infinity. Let me show you Infinity. Built a community, grew a community, and yeah, that was sort of never looked back really.
That sounds lovely.
It was insane.
I had a couple of friends, 2007, 2008-ish, yeah, at that time, who wanted me to get into Infinity, but as we were younger, we were a little bit more stupid, we weren't that eloquent. They said, this is an awesome game, look at it. And the description was, yeah, it was fine. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to get into this game. But now I'm really regretting it. Because it looks really amazing.
It is. So let's be real. N2 was a lot of fun, but you had to invest the time and energy into it. You did.
Yeah.
I mean, there were challenges in the rule book where you read the rules 4 or 5 times, like specific bits. You're like, I have no idea what any of that means. I don't know what that means.
I'm at that stage right now.
Well, this was because it had been translated from Spanish badly and then not edited properly.
Oh, okay.
So it didn't make sense in English. It's
Yeah.
like, those aren't words you can put together to make a sentence. I don't know what that's supposed to be. But over time, you got a feel of it, and it came together, and they added more things in, and it was really exciting. We had all this kind of cool stuff that happened, and it was really the Wild West, and it was quite intense, but so rewarding. As we've gone on, as we've gone forward, N3 was a bit tidier. N4 was much more focused. They made it a much more simple game to access and understand.
Ooh, nice.
And now we come to N5, where all kinds of things are happening. But the thing is with Infinity, when you first look at it, and I've said this so many times, I should get it tattooed on my forehead for ease. Infinity, when you look at it, it looks complicated, and it's not. It's deep, and those two
No.
things are not the same. I think at this point in person, I've taught over 150 people to play the game in the
Wow.
past few years. And the most common thing that you see is if people have read the rules beforehand, they get analysis paralysis, because Infinity is the type of system that you go, right, I want to play the game, and it goes, what do you want to do? And you go, play the game. What can I do? Everything. You can do everything. What do you want to do? I don't know. What does that even mean? What do you want to do to the enemy? I win. Okay, here's all the different ways you can win. I don't know what those mean. And it's just this vast array of options and choices and selections and all this kind of thing. And when you first come to it, it's just a deluge of information poured between your ears. And yeah, your brain gives up. Well, no. It's a really common thing. Infinity taken slowly, with care, with structure, it opens out before you like a beautiful journey, and it's phenomenal. It's really rewarding. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I play multiple other systems. Infinity is the one that rewards me the most. For my time
Interesting.
and my energy. Yeah.
Last week, a friend came over. We played Warcrow, the tutorial scenario. For both of us, it was the first time ever. Just finished building the models. And he never played a tabletop game before. So the first round was a little bit rough on the edges. But after that, it was like, oh, now we know what to do. And it was just round 2 and 3. It was a breeze. And was so much fun. He even said, okay, this is a game that I could go into. And if Infinity, it probably is, also as much fun as Warcrow, that's going to be amazing.
So, Warcrow is very much, for me, Warcrow is it is a hybrid between a board game and a war game, leaning towards the board game side of things. It's got a very clear lean in that sort of board game direction. It makes it accessible, it makes it easy to understand. A lot of the things that war games have that are quite complicated are stripped away. I mean, even like the dice have symbols. The symbols are on the cards. You look at the cards, you look at the symbols, you know what's just happened. There is no mathematics, there is no comparison to anything else. You don't need to go, okay, well, it's got this skill, and then it's Wednesday, it rained last week, so therefore I needed a 6. There's none of that. And that's the wonderful thing with Warcrow. It's this light narrative experience that still has the tactical depth and the interest that you can just have fun with it and you can engage with it, and it's fab. Where does Infinity sit? I can still remember, this is what Infinity do. I can still remember specific moments in specific games from 5 or 6 years ago, because they were that cool, they were that cinematic, they were that like, oh hell yeah, I did what? I did that. It was great. Infinity is a much more broad, deep experience that it rewards the time you put into it, and you have these games that they're much more cinematic. That's the only way I can describe it. You make your choices, you play your game, you roll your dice, and it just feels like, whoa, that was so cool. This bit happened. I can't believe this happened. I'm running an escalation league for my local community at the moment.
Ooh, nice.
And I like mixing in different things that you can do. And one of the awards that we've got is we're going to vote for it at the end. But each game, you're allowed to nominate a bestest boy, one of your miniatures that did a thing that was so cool that he was the best or she was the bestest boy in that particular game. And the stories that are already coming out are kind of like, oh yeah, I can imagine that was really, yeah, that's, you know. this guy was stood behind a wall. He only had a really basic submachine gun, and he fended off 5 people, and he made all of his saves, and he was critting people left, right, and center, and there were bodies piling around him, and he should have been dead after the first shot, but he stood and took it. Like, that's Infinity. These
It
epic
sounds like
moments.
so much fun.
It is, and it's, you know, you guys are just getting into it. It's a great time to be doing it. With Infinity, like I said, taking your time, not getting too hyped with it, not charging straight ahead, you know. It's like, you can close combat stuff, you can shoot stuff, you can hack stuff. There's all these different things you can do. Then there's these different tactics that you'll hear about. You'll hear about guided missile tricks, and then smoke and MSV tricks, and all these different things, and they all sound great. And you kind of need to put them on the floor, back away slowly, and get to the point where you can shoot somebody without having to think about the rules.
For me, right now, I just saw on the Facebook group, the Infinity Global Community, or whatever the name is, something with a disco ball, and I was just like, I don't know if this is a meme or if this is a real piece of equipment. I'm just gonna ignore this right now. I don't know what you want.
Yeah, and the thing is, so the disco ball is real.
Oh no!
It's a genuine, real thing, which is one of those things where you're like, CB, oh dear, I love you guys, but what? Anyway, it's a really good bit of kit from a certain perspective, and when you know how shooting works, then you can figure out how grenades work. When you have grenades, you can figure out smoke, and when you've got smoke, you can get eclipse, and when you've got eclipse, then you can look at the disco ball and go, it's just a grenade that does this, this, and this. No problems.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's fine. And it's that whole thing where you have these rules that build on top of each other. At the very core of it, there's a set of processes. And when you have those processes clear and you can do those instinctively, I say to many players that learning to play Infinity is like learning to drive. And when you first get into the car, turning the car on and making it move is a challenge. It's like, I need to put this bit here and this foot and then this bit here, and I get my foot stuck in the ear and I turn the wheel and go into the wall. It's really, really difficult. You start to learn to drive where you can shift gear without thinking about it, where you know how turning the wheel moves the vehicle and how that feels and how much to do it. When that sort of stuff comes from muscle memory, learning to drive becomes easier. When you can spend an order and when you can figure out how to run through the process of a shoot action, shoot skill in Infinity, when you have those two things down, actually the game starts making a lot more sense, because if you can shoot, close combat is shooting in base-to-base contact. It's the same process in base-to-base contact. And if you can close combat somebody, then hacking is shooting someone with an 8-inch range. It's the same process. It's the same concept. It's the same steps that you run through. Hacking has programs. Shooting has weapons. They are the same concept. They have different attributes associated with them, but they are the same thing. If you take away the pretty name, this is a machine gun that only shoots 8 inches and does these things to somebody if I hit them.
Yeah, okay.
It all makes sense. But
yeah,
when you
hackers,
first approach the game...
I saw the keyword and I thought it's just, missions. It's your mission objective to hack something. That was...
Ooh.
Oh no, okay. Okay, before we dive into this one, because we already had the segue on how to start, because with your car analogy, we are now, as of recording this right now, between editions. So N, as far as I'm aware of right now, stands for new. So we're coming from N4 to N5. The rules for N5 should have been out this Monday, but in Spain there were a lot of floodings and devastation. Even if Corvus Belli was not directly impacted by it, probably family was, so totally understandable. Please, Corvus Belli, take your time. That's way more important. But new 5 is coming out in a couple of days, weeks, whenever. And So we had Operation Blackwind for New 4. We now have Operation Sandtrap. It's not really a starter edition, as far as I'm aware of, because there are no rules in it. And they're just terrain pieces and 2 warbands with 7 models each. Yeah, that's my understanding of it right now.
Okay. So first of all, the N is because the N in the middle of infinity. That's where the N for N4, N5 comes
Oh,
from.
okay, but
That's
I don't
it.
know
That's
where I
literally
read it. I really thought it's New 5
No,
because
there's all
New
kinds of weird
Edition.
things that go around, but it's literally, if you look at their logo, you'll frequently see it with a
Yeah, I thought this is
coloured N.
just a fun thing on the
Yeah,
side. Okay.
that's where the N comes from. As far as I understand, somebody's probably going to correct me, but that has been, as far as I understand, all the way through what it is.
Hmm.
So yeah, you're quite right. We're in the middle of the jump from N4 to N5. N5 is a slightly different beast to N4. There's a lot of changes. There's some new things that are coming in. There's been some big changes to armies within it. We've lost some sectorials, so those are sub factions. You have your main factions, then you have sub factions called sectorials. Lost some sectorials. The miniatures from those have been distributed elsewhere a lot of the time, but not all the time. So it's an interesting time. As you say, we have got a delay of the launch of the N5 rules. They should be sometime in December when they drop. There's not going to be a book. It's going to be a free downloadable PDF from the
Which I
Infinity
love.
website. It's yeah, I got big over here. There's a big bookshelf, and it's N1 all the way through up to the end of N4, and
Yeah.
it's going to be.
I
Anyway,
mean, they could
so
release a book at the end of the edition with all the FAQs in it. That could be a
the thing is,
possibility.
it's a conversation that I've had with quite a lot of people, and I like sitting down with the rule book and just
No.
flicking through it. And I don't do that with a PDF. I'm never going to do it with a PDF. It's just not going to happen.
Hmm.
But I found that like you flick through the book and you're like, oh yeah, I know this rule. I didn't know it did that. That's amazing. I never knew it did that. There's an ability called Spotlight or targeted conditioning. When you do that, it makes people easier to hit. It also makes it harder for them to do certain other things, which I didn't know until I happened to be flicking through the rulebook one day, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool! I never knew it did that. That's so funky." Changed everything. Suddenly, this ability, which was just useful in very specific circumstances, was like, actually, this has some utility. I can use this in different ways. Anyway, so I'm going to miss the rulebook, but so you're quite right. Over here, over my shoulder, we have Sandtrap, the big boy, and then we have Essentials, the little one.
No.
Sandtrap is it's what we call a battle box or a battle pack. As you say, 2 different armies, a box of terrain, dice, tokens, because Infinity is token heavy. You will need tokens.
No.
I have a big box of tokens. More tokens is good. So all of that is in there, but not rules. We have a book. The book that is in there is lore. The book that is in there is missions, but those missions are big grown-up missions. They are not beginner missions, which is a bit of a weird one, to be honest with you. I don't get it. Historically, battle boxes came with introduction missions. They had the lore, and then you had like 3 or 4 missions that were like, okay, take your first 3 guys and smush them together.
Yeah,
And when you've
like in
smushed,
Warcrow, because the first tutorial mission is just round 1. We're gonna show you everything. Just do what we tell you to do, which
along
is
those lines,
really
but
fun.
even more so. Yeah, it helps so much. It's just like so, like in Sandtrap, you have basic troopers. So yeah, this is
No.
the basic trooper for the JSA. The first mission for battle boxes used to be 3 of these for one side versus 3 of these for the other side, and that was it. And their sole purpose is to smush against each other and kill each other.
No.
So you learn how to shoot and you learn how to spend an order. Those core abilities. The next mission added in other troopers who brought other skills and abilities. So you built on that first mission with the second, and you built on the second with the third, and then you got to the end and you were like, okay, I have the basics, I have the core ideas. Sandtrap doesn't contain that, which is a bit of an odd one. I don't get the choice, I don't get the decision. So if you pick up Sandtrap, Sandtrap will not teach you how to play the game.
Okay.
You can get the quick start rules, which is what this is. You can get the quick start rules. These are available for free as a download from the Infinity website. You can find on the Infinity website the statistics for all of the troopers that are in the Sandtrap box in a single file. You can download that.
Oh, the JPEG with all the models in it for both sides is one.
You've actually got two separate PDFs on there now with the stats. So you can download those, print those off, use this, and only the abilities that are in here. So there'll be a whole load of abilities on that document that you will not use. Just ignore them. It doesn't matter.
No.
And you can play with the quick start rules and that. And I'd say you start off with the three basic troopers for each side, and you'll get to learn the game that way using the quick start rules and those stats, and you'll be fine. So you can do it. It's a little bit more of a challenge than it used to be, but it's there. That's fine. The other option is Essentials, which is the actual learn to play Infinity process that they're bringing out now. 3 miniatures for each side, again for JSA and Pan-Oceania, the same combination as you get in Sandtrap, but not the same sub-factions. Different sub-factions. We'll cover that one in a sec.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a question for that.
we do. So the great thing about Essentials is, again, it's terrain, it is dice, it is tokens, it is miniatures. It is actually this copy. This is from Essentials. This comes in the box.
Oh,
with Walker add on the back. So you have a physical thing to use. And that will give you a very basic introduction. The great thing about Essentials as well is it has these little unit cards, which you don't normally get with Infinity, with the stats and the information for the units on, which makes it so much quicker and easier to play. Again, those stat cards contain the full stats for those particular troopers, but you only use the skills that are discussed in the QSR and the quick start rules, and you'll be fine. Essentials is cheaper than Sandtrap. Sandtrap's about 120, 130 euros, whereas Essentials is 40 to 50 euros, more like 40, but some places I've seen them talking about 50, which is a bit, anyway. But it's a very good price, Essentials, to get into the system. What's the disadvantage of Essentials? What's the difference? The Essentials miniatures are older sculpts. Does that make much difference? It does if you like the new hotness. If you like the latest stuff for Sandtrap, is just gorgeous. The stuff for Essentials is lovely, but it's a couple of generations back in design. It's a couple of generations back in look.
Yeah, but even then you can still use them for painting. Maybe you don't know how to paint them. You don't have a color scheme yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe. I'd say the troopers that are in the Essentials box are core troopers that you will use. They are useful, and they are the current miniatures for most of those troopers. So yeah, I mean, it's just from a perspective of when you see the Sandtrap miniatures, they are wow, and when you see the Essentials miniatures, they're like, okay, they're fine, they're lovely, they're great. They're not as wow as Sandtrap is. Shall I sort of short circuit that question we've got later and talk about the compatibility between the two? Do you want me to do that?
Oh yeah, then let's go with that one, because that's going to be interesting for me as well right now.
Yeah, okay. So a little bit of... I'm going to monologue. I'm so sorry. I'm just...
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's what I'm here for.
Okay. So you need a little bit of background about the way that factions fit together inside of Infinity first.
Before we do that, for everyone who's not aware of sectorial armies, this is
basically what I was going to cover next.
Okay, the equivalent for battle formations in Age of Sigmar and detachments in 40k. That's my understanding right now.
Ish.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
So the way to think about it is when you have a faction. So both of these boxes contain Pan-Oceania and the Japanese Successionist Army, or JSA. They both contain those factions. Essentials contains what is called now generic. So that is a little bit of everything, not all, but a little bit of everything from all the different flavors of that faction are in generic. So it's a little bit more flexible. You have a little bit more options, or this kind of thing. As you say, we have sub-factions called sectorial armies, or sectorials for short. A sectorial is a specific flavor of that faction, and it will do something specific well. But it'll do other things terribly, essentially. So you have a very specific focus. I kind of compare it to a division within the armed services. You'll have recon teams, you'll have artillery teams, and all this kind of thing. A sectorial is kind of along those lines. So if we talk about Pan-Oceania for a second, you have generic Pano, you have Kestrel, you have Svelaheimer, and you have military orders. So Kestrel, Svelaheimer, and military orders are 3 sectorials of Pan-Oceania. They are all Pan-Oceania.
Okay, so we have 4 Pan-O
flavors.
Distinct. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so when you look at military orders, they are heavy infantry, they are religious, they are incredibly religious, so they're all based around the Neo-Vatican, so it's all deeply steeped in that kind of world. So you have Teutonic Knights in there, you have Hospitaller Knights, this kind of thing. It's all heavy armor, it's all violence, they're all carrying swords, people are going to get diffed with them. That's what they do. When we look at Svelaheimer, they have some heavy infantry options, but mostly what Svel do is shoot things, and they shoot them well. That is their whole shtick. No. They're nowhere near as resilient as military orders are, but my God, do they put down the firepower. They're specialists. One thing about Infinity is you're normally aiming to complete a mission. It's mission-based gameplay. A lot of the Svelaheimer specialists are dumb as a rock, so their ability to complete missions is not that great. So they're going to kill everything and then spend the rest of the game rolling their face across the keyboard trying to get it to do something. They're kind of that sort of level of standard. There's going to be some very upset Pano players at this point.
But it's the truth.
Fine, it's just what happens. The new one, Kestrel, is a quick reaction force. It's ultra mobile. It's got a lot of ability to traverse the board really quickly and get into inconvenient positions and strike from unexpected angles. It is not as resilient as military orders. It is not as shooty as Svelaheimer, but it is very, very mobile, very, very quick, and it will enable you to outposition your opponent and strike them where they really don't want you to.
No.
So those are 3 distinct flavors of Pan-Oceania, but they are all Pan-Oceania. And some, but not all, troopers from those sectorials appear in generic.
No.
So you get some elements from there in generic. I would show you what I mean by that, but somebody's borrowed my big N5 book and taken it away on holiday with them because I'm a generous soul, so I don't have it with me. But in the big N5 law book, there are generic and sectorial lists for Kestrel and Pano, and you can see, okay, these miniatures are in here, but these ones aren't.
No. Okay.
So,
the list would be amazing, because as of right now, I'm also looking in the app for Infinity, and it's still N4, as far as I understand it, and it's a little bit confusing. I need a piece of paper in front of me that tells me this goes here, this goes here. And I like the app. I really love that it's free and everything. You can skip through everything, but there are so many questions left. Like with the weapons, I don't know what a Spitfire weapon is. I don't know what a flamethrower does, or anything, basically.
Yeah.
So this is something that could be better.
The thing with those is, bizarrely, the first thing you need to know before you look at those weapon profiles is how to shoot someone.
Yeah.
When you have the ability to shoot and understand how that process works, then you have the knowledge that you need to look at a weapon profile and go, right, that is what this is. So what I mean by that, I'm going to quickly run through a shoot skill and how that works. So essentially, if you say you're going to shoot somebody, the first thing you do is you check ranges, and the reason that matters is every weapon has good range bands and bad range bands.
Oh.
A normal rifle is kind of good between, I'm going to work in inches because I'm built that way. 0 to 16 inches is the good range for the most common weapon, which is the combi rifle. There you get +3 to your ballistic skill, which is a better chance of hitting someone.
Yep.
Over that, it starts dropping off, -3 over 16, and up to -6 when you hit the long range. By comparison, a heavy machine gun from 16 to 32 inches is +3. Below 16,
because it's a medium range weapon.
It's a longer range weapon.
Oh, okay.
The Spitfire actually sits between the two. It's +3 from 8 to 24.
Oh, okay.
So you have these different range bands, and your weapons do different things within them. So when you start by measuring your distance, and that tells you what modifiers you get to your ability to hit. You go through another couple of steps, which we won't worry about right now.
Yeah.
But you end up with a figure that you need to hit, and you then need to roll dice. How many dice do you need to roll? Every weapon has a B value, a burst value, and that is how many dice you roll.
I thought this is bullets, not burst.
It amounts to the same thing. It comes to the exact same thing. So like the combi rifle that I mentioned a minute ago, it's good for 0 to 16 inches, and it has a burst value of 3. 3 dice. That's what when you're shooting actively with the weapon, you roll 3 dice. The heavy machine gun I mentioned rolls 4.
No.
Because more DACA, essentially. So now you have the range that you can see on the weapon stats. That makes sense. So I figure out where I get my +3s and -3. I have the burst value. That tells me how many dice I roll. Great stuff. The next value is PS, probability of survival. So how deadly that weapon is.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No.
The lower value that the PS has, this is a change from from all of the previous versions of Infinity. PS is a new way of figuring out damage. So probability of survival, the smaller the value, the smaller your likelihood of living through the experience of being shot by that weapon.
Okay, yeah.
So
a pistol has less PS than a sniper rifle.
A PS of, if memory serves, 8 for a pistol, because Infinity, don't get it confused. Infinity is violent and bloody. Things die quick and they die hard. Okay? If you want to go into a game expecting you guys to survive, I got really bad news for you. They're coming out in bits, and that's if you're lucky. No. So a probability of survival with a pistol is 8. That can be modified by cover, that can be modified by armor, and that value gets higher and higher and higher. So, for example, a normal trooper like your Fusiliers, your light infantry, they will have an armor of 0 or 1. If they have 1, that probability of survival goes from 8 to 9.
Oh,
when you start getting to the heavier stuff, like tags, the big robots, they will have armor from 6 to 10. So if you have a tag with an armor of 10, the probability of survival against a pistol goes from 8 to 18. Suddenly you need to roll 18 or less to bounce that shot with a big, heavily armored tag.
Interesting.
Okay?
No.
I'm gonna finish the tale because we're here. And if you're in cover, you get +3 to that as well. No. So a pistol.
So that would be a 21?
A 20. You can't hurt it. That tag in cover being shot with a pistol is like, what?
Oh, wow. Love that.
I don't care.
No.
So that's how that works. So now you can look at the statistics of a weapon and go, okay, so the first thing it gives me is range bands. That's where I get my +3s, my -3s, my -6s, my 0s. I can then see my burst value. That's how many dice I throw. I can then see my probability of survival. I can see how likely it is that somebody's going to live through the experience of me digging them upside the ear with this particular weapon. And then you get ammo types, which we won't worry about right now because they don't matter.
No.
you can now look at a weapon and go, cool, what does this weapon do? You know, a sniper rifle, absolute hot trash up close, really good at long range, only shoots 2 dice because slow firing sniper rifles. But it's incredibly powerful. If you get hit by a sniper rifle, your grandkids are going to come out bruised. It's that kind of powerful, you know? When you have that knowledge, when you have that understanding of the rules of the process of shooting, the profiles of weapons suddenly start making sense.
No.
Because I need to figure out my range bands. Oh, that's what the range bands means. Cool. The other great thing to know about Infinity is that a combi rifle is a combi rifle is a combi rifle. If you are using a combi rifle for nomads, or you are using it for combined army, or you're using it for ALF, the statistics are identical.
Oh, that's amazing. That makes it so much easier for everyone.
It is. The missile launchers are the same. That you get certain factions have certain specific weapons which are very specific to them. But they will be kind of like, okay, so that is a combi rifle, but with this ability tagged on.
No.
That is a missile launcher, but with this ability tagged on.
Yeah, but that's totally fine. That gives the faction a little bit more flavor for the weapon. But for everyone else, it's, oh yeah, it's a combi rifle. That's really nice. That's really, really good.
From a quality of life perspective, it means that, you know, you'll start out, if you have good sense, you'll start out with a faction. You'll start out with one particular faction, whether that be Pano or JSA or something else completely different. And you'll come to your first game, and the person on the side of the table will be like, I'm running hack. And you'll be like, I don't know hack. And then they'll say, right, so I've got a combi rifle. And you go, I've got combi rifles. I know what a combi rifle does. This is great. And then they'll start talking about the statistics of their troopers. And the statistics of their troopers are the same format as yours, and you'll know how that all fits together and how that works.
No.
So that's why I say it's crucial you understand how to spend an order. It's crucial you understand how to do a shoot, because when you've got those abilities down, when you've got those sort of off the top of your head and instinctive, the game just gets so much easier. You can look at a new weapon and go, okay, its good range bands are, it throws this many dice, it does this much, it has this probability of survival, it has these ammo types. Cool, it's that.
No.
I got it. No problems.
Nice.
Which it's one of the great features of the game. Yeah. So anyway, that was a major deviation.
Yeah, but we have to learn. So
no, absolutely. And it's. I mean, talking about weapons for a second as well. You'll see that there are different types of rifle. So there is a combi rifle, and there are multi rifles, or this kind of thing. They're based around the same concept. So a multi rifle and a combi rifle have the same damage, they have the same range bands, they have the same burst, but a multi rifle has different ammunition types in it that do different things.
Oh, okay.
It's the same stats across the board. It's just this bit on the end that changes, and you'll see that many times. You'll be like, okay, so this is a Spitfire, but with more damage and less shots.
No.
Called a Mark 12. It's literally a Spitfire that throws 3 dice, not 4, and does 15 damage, not 14. That's probability of survival 6, not 5. Anyway.
Yep.
So you get that ability to read and understand what they are, and it makes things really, really simple, learning that kind of thing. So yes, that's weapon stats. So Essentials is much easier because all of that stuff is actually like the weapon stats are on a separate card that comes in the box to go with the cards for the troopers. So I think we're still talking about getting started in the game. I'm still talking about that. We're doing it. So Essentials is a much easier way to get into it. And talking about sectorials, that's where we were going. So you will find that there is some cross sort of between generic and a sectorial and generic. They will share certain troopers, but not all. Sometimes different sectorials will have the same troopers in.
Okay.
Not always with the same profiles, not always with the same options.
Oh.
So you have different types in different places. But that is much rarer. Sideways between sectorial sharing is rarer for most units than it is between generic and sectorial. So you really get to choose the way that you want to play that faction. You get to choose the way that you want to play the game. Now, with these boxes, Essentials is generic. That is the generic army. When you look at the Kaisotsu and the Shikami that are in there for JSA, those are generic troopers. There's a possibility the Shikami will appear in a different sectorial, but we don't know that 100% yet.
Yeah.
Probably the Kaisotsu will too. We don't know 100% yet. We'll be finding that out when the army app gets updated, hopefully. So if you take the troopers from Sandtrap, all of the profiles that are actually in that box are sectorials. We have Kestrel for Pano, and we have Shinden Mutai for JSA. A genius move by Corvus Belli is all of those troop types can go into generic. So you can take Sandtrap and use it with Essentials.
No.
You cannot take Essentials and use it with Sandtrap.
Okay.
Because none of the troopers that are in Essentials go into the sectorials that are in Sandtrap. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for me, yes.
So if you start off with Essentials, if you learn the game with Essentials, you can buy Sandtrap and slap it in later. It will work. That'll be absolutely fine. But if you start with Sandtrap and then you buy Essentials, you're effectively starting a new type of the faction that's in the Sandtrap box. It's not going to go that way. Yeah?
No. Oh, but now we also perfect segue for the next question. How to know what to buy and how to avoid buyer's remorse. Because as of right now, I try to look into stuff. But let's just go with what I know. Aleph, I have looked at many models. As of right now, I have 2 models for Aleph. I have no idea if I can play them together or not, because as of right now, I really don't care. But there are booster packs. And the first time I read it, it was, oh no, it's like Magic or trading card games. I don't like booster packs. That's going to be terrible. Then I looked into it. So, okay, you get what you see on the box. That's really nice. But without any other information from any other source, I don't know if I can use the models in my warband or not, which can quite can be disheartening for me personally, because I want the amazing models, because I've seen the post-humans. Now they're getting new post-humans. I don't know what that means. Both versions look amazing. I want both of them, but I don't know. Is it just a stand-in for the same unit? Stuff like that. Also, again, Booster Pack Alpha, Booster Pack Beta, or whatever the name was. And it diverges so much.
Yep, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. This comes into...
sorry, but there is another really, really good thing that Corvus Belli does, is Operation Sandtrap or Winds from the North for Warcrow, and then beyond Operation Sandtrap that just glues more models to your force, or beyond Winds from the North for Warcrow. I love this so much. It just makes it easier. So you want to get into the game, buy this. Oh, and then beyond. I love this. Amazing.
Okay. So, let's start. I'm going to start with the basic stuff, and then we're going to move to the more other stuff. The easiest way with Infinity N5 to ensure that you are building out to a force that is usable and great is Essentials, because there are going to be releases for Essentials that will bolt in and add new bits to those particular factions. Okay. The thing about Essentials is it's also going to be supported, on top of everything you get in the box, it's going to be supported with videos online, which will teach you how to do the new abilities that come in each one of those boxes. So you take start here, which is what this box is. This is start here. We can get an army box later that will slap in another, from memory, 7 miniatures for each side of that
Oh,
box.
okay.
And then you'll end up with 10. And then we're going to get a support pack, we're going to get rem packs, we're going to get character packs, we're going to get tag packs that you will buy, and they'll come with the cards, and they'll just build out to this army. So that is the easiest way to do it. And everything that I've seen, and what I understand is coming with essentials, is gold. It's great. Now we're going to talk about, well, Sand Trap, Beyond Sand Trap. Yes, they're great. It gets you to 10 miniatures with a core focus. And actually, with Sand Trap, you have these two tags that came out, one for Nano and one for JSA. So these actually bolt into Sand Trap as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the Tick Balang and the Mechazoid, they're beautiful. They will fit with those armies as well. So you can pick those up and stick those in, and that gives you options. So that pushes you forward. The thing is, with Infinity, and this is something that I kind of alluded to earlier, is that when you approach Infinity and you say, right, what do I need? Infinity goes, yes. That's essentially what it does. Yes. Okay, is this a good miniature? Probably.
Yeah,
That sounds really unhelpful because so all of the people that I've ever talked to play Infinity are just, if they're watching this, sorry guys, they're about to have a little bit of PTSD. One of my favorite things to say about Infinity is it depends. Okay. When you have your core of your army, what you add to that will depend on how you want to play. Because unlike a lot of other systems where there is a clear, correct way to play that army, there is a, this will win you the tournament, this won't. So that's, if you want to win, you go this way. If you want to just be sort of a bit of a loser, you go that way. Infinity doesn't do that. There are better options than some others, but again, that depends what else you put into your list and how you want to run it and what mission you're facing and tactically how you want to play. Those choices are going to be down to you as a player, and that comes with understanding. When you've learned how to spend an order and you've learned how to do a shoot and you've learned from there how weapons work, and from there how close combat and hacking and camouflage, blah, blah, blah. When all this starts coming together and you're like, cool, and this is a mission. Right, so this is how I use this to do this. How do I want it to work? How do I want it to look like? You mentioned post-humans. I have post-humans. There are 3 different sets of post-humans.
Oh no.
There is.
I only saw 2.
It's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. We have the old style ones that are just being replaced in December with the new style ones, and we have the so post-humans. Let's talk about those for a second. As a concept, they're effectively a shell. Your ghost in the shell. They're a shell that a consciousness can move between. So you can have 3 of those on the board, but only one is active at a time. So you move the consciousness across the board into it.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so they're very cheap by comparison to equivalent units. But they have the disadvantage of only having one consciousness between them and only generating one order and all this kind of thing. So you can have an engineer, you can have a doctor, and you can have a heavy machine gun, all running on one consciousness, but 3 separate miniatures with 3 separate sets of stats and 3 separate wound pools and all this kind of thing. So they're an incredibly capable and flexible option. You need, realistically, 2 boxes. The one box with all the heavy stuff in it, and the new one that's just dropping out, which has actually got the specialists in. You have those, you can put them together. Which ones you run will be entirely up to you. Now, I play OSS, which is the sectorial that in LF where the post-humans are. I'd never run post-humans. I know players that don't leave home without them. It depends how you want to play. It depends what you want to run and how you want to make the game work. I mentioned that Escalation League. In my last round, one of my other players is a huge fan of a unit inside of LF called an Azura. It's a beast. It's a horrific monster of a thing. And I hate it. Always have done. It's too many points. It's too fragile. I don't like it. It's no thank you. He does horrific things to people with it, And so I said, you know what, second round, I'm the TO, so I don't actually want to win the league. So I'm going to run an Azura, and I'm going to show you that I don't like Azuras because they don't work for me. And she died in the first turn. There was just bits everywhere. It was just, I don't like it. It's too expensive. I don't run it.
No.
He doesn't leave home without it. Both of those perspectives are valid.
Mm.
It depends how you want to run the game. It depends how you want to run your particular list. So it's one of the challenges with Infinity of what do you want?
It cut out for a moment. I'm sorry.
okay,
Challenges
that's
for
no problem.
Infinity. That was the
One
last
of
thing.
the challenges. That's cool. One of the challenges for Infinity is knowing what to buy next, and people will often approach me and say, you know, what should I buy next? I don't know. What do you want? The number one rule to start off with is the rule of cool. If it fits in your faction, and you look at it and you think, I like it, it's probably a good call. It will probably work. In theory, with Infinity, you need 10 to 15 miniatures. I have no factions of 10 to 15 miniatures, not even close, because they're all so like, oh, I want this one, I want this one, I'm going to add this one in, this is cool. I go to the table with 10 to 15 miniatures and leave 30 or 40 in the box because next time they're coming out. Next time they will.
Yeah.
So it's when you're deciding what to buy, go with what you think looks cool. When the army builder is out, make sure that that thing that you're going to buy fits in the faction and or sectorial that you're running. If it does, buy it. It'll be great.
No.
That's essentially it. You mentioned those booster boxes. Historically, we used to have individual blisters, but there are so many miniatures that it just became sort of unfeasible for Corvus Belli to produce them, but also for retailers to stock them.
No.
You know, if you, there's certain miniatures that sell semi-regularly, some that are very specific, some that come in and out of favour. Are you going to keep all those on the shelf? Because if you don't, people are going to want them. They're going to be cross you don't have them. So you're going to leave it there for a year for when somebody comes in and buys it. Then you buy another one. Putting these booster boxes together, they tend to be focused around a faction, sometimes a sectorial, but mostly around a faction. And they will be units that are useful.
No.
The only thing that I'd warn you about is that sometimes they contain different sectorials, and that's a really good way of starting a new sectorial by accident because I've done that so many times. Oh, well, I've got him. I'll have to buy the rest now. Mistakes are frequently made. But yeah, it's as you learn the game, as you play the game, you'll get a feel of how you like to play it, of how the style that you like to go for, you know? The thing that works for you, the tactics that work for you. Talking about military orders for Pan-Oceania, there are several ways to play that particular one. I'm a fan of the pain train, just 5 heavy infantry working together as one big armoured fist to slap the opponents with. I love that.
No.
That makes me happy. Other players will never take it. Equally valid. So you've got to find your feet and you've got to find what you enjoy. And it's frequently the case that you'll get in, you'll start an army, you'll play that army, and you'll be like, actually, what I want to do is I want to focus on this play style, which is that army. So I'm going to start that army and play that style. It changes. It's why I have 11 armies now for Infinity.
No.
It's all cool, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, I'm also falling into the trap. Oh, but I don't know how to play, but I want the model. Yeah, but that is a total different thing. So, sadly, we have to do a little bit of quick fire things right now because slowly but surely I have to go back to work.
No, disappointing.
Yeah, I know. We don't have it on the list, but terrain size and terrain pieces. Because Sandtrap comes on 2 by 2 feet, I think. 24 to 24 inches.
I've never measured it.
But doesn't really matter. And with a couple of terrain pieces. The regular game size is 300 points, I think.
Yep.
With 48 to 48 inches.
Correct.
But how many terrain pieces, because I saw wildly different battle reports. Because I saw battle reports on your channel and you have a lot of terrain pieces. I saw on other channels that they have maybe 10 terrain pieces, and 10 terrain pieces, I mean stuff like this, one of the crates from Micro Art Studios, which are really nice, by the way. These are the first MDF terrain pieces I have, and they're amazing. But yeah, how much terrain is enough or too much terrain?
Okay, so first of all, a table of terrain, it should be a canvas for you to play your game on. It shouldn't be the third player. And a bad table of terrain will become the third player in the game. It will impact the outcome so heavily. As a guide, with a table, you should ensure that there are places where weapons that use templates are useful, and areas where weapons which have an incredibly long range are useful, but neither should be dominant.
No.
That as a sort of guide is the way that you want to set it up. The tables that I set up look dense, but they play with fire lanes, they play with visibility, they play with giving you tactical options without defining the way that you have to play. I've played in too many tables through the years where there's like one route of attack. Okay, well, whoever's going second is going to win because they can just set up a firing squad at the end of that, and their opponent has to commit, so they're going to die. Or there's too many long fire lanes, or there's not enough. And it's about striking that balance. So how much you need, enough that the different types of weapon inside the game are useful. You'll find that European versus US tables have a different approach. US tend to be a lot more open. And this is valid. It's a different gaming experience. And provided that the table remains a canvas and not a player, it's perfect. Yeah, it's up to you. I'd say tournaments tend to be less dense as well because it makes it harder to play. It makes you think more. But when you're starting out, more dense is more helpful because it will be more forgiving.
Okay,
you're not
interesting.
getting punished so heavily.
No. Okay, then I had some community questions. One we already answered, but I'm still gonna read it. Is it possible to play all the miniatures? I think that was with the sectorials and the overarching, let's just say Aleph. And then there is the Steel Phalanx and the OSS for Aleph. So no, you can't play all the miniatures in one warband, because some of them are just thrown out and you can only play them in a sectorial.
Yeah, you can't smush everything from OSS and Steel Phalanx as sectorials together. It used to be an option in N4. You used to be able to do that, but that caused so many problems and so many incredibly overpowered builds that they've split that down and they've paired it off a little bit so boxes contain bits. But to be honest with you, to start off with, I would recommend that you start with a sectorial or a generic army and you build to that. Because the way that each one of these things plays, as I said earlier, is very different. And in being very different, it's the worst thing you can do is start to learn Kestrel and then go generic because it's a different beast. And it'd be like, I expected this to work. Well, it would if you had all of those toys, but you don't anymore. Start with one particular sectorial, learn that, build to that using the army builder. It'll tell you what you can get in there. All by the N5 law book, it's got a lot of the generic, not all, most of the generic armies and some sectorial armies, what they can have listed in there. And buy to that. That would be what I'd recommend.
Okay, also we had the question for lore, but yeah, there is a lore book. That's the best way to get into it, I think. But if you don't want to spend the money because you're still unsure on how to get into, if you want to go into the game, would be better. because 65 euros, I think it costs,
Mhm. Yep.
which is a lot of money.
Yes.
Let's not sugarcoat it, but it's a big book. I have the one for Warcrow right now. It's humongous. It's so well made. Oh, I fell in love with. So I'm really sorry. I have to gush over it a little bit right
Gosh,
now.
do it.
The binding of the book, the glue, and everything they use. I don't know who makes the books for Corvus Belli, but please, Corvus Belli, stay with them because the glue is flexible. It's not cracking. I know there are some people who love the crack of the spine of the book, but it's damaging the book. Please don't do that. Um,
Yep.
it's flexible. It opens up so well, and one of the best tabletop wargaming books I had in a while.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, no, and the N5 law book is exactly the same.
No.
It's a phenomenal book. It's so much fluff, so much lore. It's great. If you don't want to drop that money, if you want to spend it on miniatures, cannot complain about that.
No.
What can you do? There are lore videos on the Corvus Belli YouTube site. There is at the moment we're going to get there's going to be an update of the website that's going to have some lore information on it as well. You can already find
Okay.
lore information on there too. You'll also find there's lots of different channels on YouTube that contain lore, but a lot of that is quite dated. So just bear that one in mind.
Yeah, I saw some that were 4 years old.
Well, the thing is that every year, pretty much, the lore, the story of Infinity develops.
Mm.
So we actually also have narrative
Oh.
events every year where you can take part, and the result of that will steer the story in a different direction.
Mm.
So players can impact how the
Oh
story for
no.
Infinity goes. Yeah.
Oh, like in Conquest. I love this.
It's so much fun. So you get like the different factions will have their own Facebook and Discord pages where
Mm.
they'll plan what they're going to do and where they're going to attack within the narrative and blah blah blah. Blah. Anyway, so we have that going on, but the lore grows every year. So if you're producing a video with the absolute truth of everything that's happening in Pano, it
Mm.
has a shelf life of minutes.
Damn.
And there's a lot. Beyond that, you can also get a lot of lore from there's an RPG
Mm.
from I want to say Modiphius. I think it's Modiphius. They have books related to each faction. So much lore in there. It's a little dated now. There's so much lore in there. There's the Human Sphere website, which has a load of basic lore for all the main factions and gives you some background there. So you've got that too. There are lots of different options, lots of different places to go.
No. Okay. Oh, it's going to be so tough to get into it. But I really love that it evolves because this is something that I love with Parabellum's Conquest. Because if you're not aware, you can vote weekly on how the story should evolve, which is it's so beautiful. I love it so much. And one of the criticisms I have with Games Workshop right now is they started so many storylines, none of them are going anywhere, which is so sad. And as Warhammer fans love grim darkness, many people are not going to be around anymore due to maybe they're quitting the hobby or being the grim darkness right now. Some people will not live to see the end of these storylines. As
No,
it sounds
it's
harsh, but
no, but it's. I mean, with Infinity, like when I came on board, we were dealing with the law was in a position where there was campaign Paradiso going on, which was where the combined army incursion had happened. So the aliens had turned up and they were striking it, or trying to strike at the heart of humanity. We then had narrative campaigns that resulted in humanity, the human sphere being pushed further back. Paradiso fell, the jump gates fell.
Oh,
We
is
got
that
pushed all the way
the
back.
series? Is that why it's called Paradise Lost?
I don't know. Is the straight answer?
It can be.
It could be. I don't think. I'd be surprised if they went back to Paradiso. they could do. I mean, I'd
Yeah,
be here for it if they do. As a vet, I definitely would be up for it. We fought hard, even though we lost. Anyway, but then that's gone all the way up to End Song, which is the last narrative book that was released for N4, where the Combined Army pushed humanity all the way back to Constellium Prime, the center of humanity. I'm going to get corrected so badly by somebody on all this stuff.
Yeah.
And something happened. You'll have to read the books to find out what. Something happened where the Combined Army had to partner with the human sphere, humanity, to resolve this issue. And now the Combined Army and the human sphere have an uneasy truce. They're actually sat on the governing body of humanity. The aliens are sat there too, and it's kind of been resolved. But this started all the way back, like in N1. This story has progressed all the way to this point, and it's not done yet, because now we are on Shinju, which is a new planet that's just turned up, and all this stuff's kicking off. So there is a narrative thread that's run through all of that players have had the opportunity to impact and change. So yeah, jump in where you are. There's when you get like these quick start rules as well, you have lore, the basic lore for the different factions in there, and you have the basic background of the system as well. This is a primer. This will get you sort of switched onto it, but I'd say the YouTube channel for Corvus Belli is definitely a good place to start, because there's so much info in there. Have a look at that.
No. Okay, we have 3 questions out in the open, but some of them we already answered. Terrain pieces in the background of the JSA promotional material. As of right now, I've not seen them anywhere. I think they're micro art studios, but possibly. It's not on their page. I know
that they have some studio terrain that's from a defunct manufacturer whose name escapes me, as well. So it's hard to say. Your best bet is to drop Corvus Belli a message on that one. But yeah, the micro art stuff is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. I own 3 tables of the stuff. And when you get to their pre-painted stuff, it will change your life. That stuff.
Yeah. I saw them. It's ridiculous. Because these crates again are from Micro Art Studios. This is for our hobby club. They made it for us. And at first I was like, oh, I'm going to paint these in our hobby club colors. And then I saw the pre-painted stuff from them and was like, oh no, I'm not gonna paint these. It's not gonna fit the aesthetic. I'm not. It will clash, and I don't want that.
The thing about micro art stuff, the pre-painted stuff, it's better when you have it in your hand than when you see it on a screen. And
definitely.
It's just deadly. It's just deadly. So many of my local players have bought tables, and they're like, "Oh, I finished the table. I've just ordered some more. I've ordered some more. I don't know what happened."
Yeah.
You saw the pretty picture and you had to have it, and I'm like, "Yeah, I know." But yeah, no, I don't know off the top of my head which one. The best bet would be to contact CB and ask them. They're always happy to help and answer questions if you've got them. So I would drop them an email and ask them.
So last 2 questions. The one we already answered. If you have the books for N4 or earlier, lore bits still important? Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of background. I mean, there's this much books over there of just, in fact, more than. But look, and it's all background. It's all worth knowing, and it's all interesting. It all adds to the story. We also have the novels that are coming out now as well. They're dropping 2. We have you mentioned the TV show that's coming up too. There's so many different ways that you can tap into the lore. It's all valid. It's all interesting. It all eat your life. So
yeah, the trailer for the show was the thing that got me into it, because it's no secret I love Dune. Since I don't know when was the David Lynch movie? Oh, it's 80s. Old. Was it?
Yeah, it's 80s.
Yeah. So, yeah. I saw that and I was like, I don't know what it is, but I love it. And and I saw the trailer for Paradise Lost and was like, oh, now it's getting interesting.
So you love Dune, but you don't play Hack? Wow,
I
I'm surprised.
I don't know what that
I'm
is.
surprised. Hackislam.
Oh
They
yeah,
are
no,
they
no,
are
no, no.
the
Wait. Uh, I already have one of the models, one of the assassins.
see,
No,
assassins are just all day long. June and my
so for
wives.
me, uh, I got my hands on Operation Blackwind, probably one of the last boxes, but it's in transit, and I fear that it's been lost. Because it's been in transit for, I don't know, when was Operation Sandtrap being announced?
Oh
Uh,
wow.
2 months ago.
Yeah, that doesn't sound
So
good.
this is a whole can of worms. I'm in contact with the company that delivers it. It's a mess. I don't know what happened. My tinfoil hat theory is one of the workers saw, oh, it could be something from Corvus Belli in there.
Quite possibly.
Uh,
Especially, yeah, Blackburn was a good kit. It was a good set.
yeah,
I have to
because
say.
it's both of the armies that I want. Um,
Mm.
because I'm not the biggest religious person around, but I really love how Corvus Belli is so respectful with Christianity, with Islam, and
Mm.
everything, as far as I can tell. And
The
that's
thing
also
is,
something that I want to support, because support what you love. And Aleph, as not only being an evil overlord AI in my mind,
land
uh,
lies.
also the word Aleph is the oneness with God, which
Mhm.
I also really like. So I immediately had to order the Baron of dice for Aleph and Hakislam. And I
Brilliant.
love Baron of Dice. But yeah.
Oh, don't. I've got two sets of Baron of dice. One of them is the most horrifically unlucky set of dice I've ever had.
Oh no.
And there's a guy that I know who is horrifically unlucky at rolling dice, and when you put them together, he can't miss. He suddenly turns into this
Oh.
absolute beast, hitting everything. So
Oh no.
I'm up to about 200 euros. I'm going to sell them to him for because he can never hit anything, and I'm like, these hit for you every time. Um,
Uh,
First of all, I want to address that's complete lies and slander about LF. We're here to help you and support you, whether
I
you
know.
like it or not.
Another
Um,
thing I have is Agamemnon.
uh-huh.
Uh,
The
I
man
must
legend.
say, for Seocast, uh, um, I never seen such a beautiful model kit. Almost no mold line. It fit perfectly.
Was he
Um,
that color? That sort
yeah,
of dark
it's
grey.
Seocast, and
So that's not Seocast.
oh, it's not. I thought
No,
it's Seocast.
that's a plastic resin called Unical, um,
Oh,
which is a
interesting.
different. It's a different material. It doesn't have the mold lines. It doesn't have
Yeah.
the many cast points and stuff. That's Unical. It's really really good stuff. I love it.
Oh, interesting.
Superb. The miniatures from Warcry are Seocast, and it's a lighter grey, a bit softer.
Mm.
So like you can really see the sort of difference with like. See here.
Yeah, my
That's
Warcraw
Seocast.
models are also a little bendy. I
Yep.
still haven't put the sword on the orc leader. Um,
Yep.
still have to
That's
do that.
Seacast.
Yep.
Seacast does that. The Unical doesn't bend as easily. In fact, you have to warm it to get it
Yeah,
to
but
sort
I
of.
almost had no problems with it. The gun
There
was
you
a
go.
little bit bendy, but uh,
Yeah,
it's
it's a different
beautiful.
different material, but it is stunning, isn't it? It is absolutely stunning. I built 4 Unical miniatures in less than an hour
Yeah,
because they
me
need no
too.
cleanup. Bup, 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 bup.
I was looking for mold lines and was the tiniest mold line I've ever seen in my life.
It's
And
almost not worth bothering with. You're like,
no, I mean, I got rid of it because it was, I don't know, work of 15 seconds per
yeah,
piece.
no,
And
absolutely.
I'm
It's
not
all
over exaggerating here. Mold lines were gone almost immediately.
yep.
The Agamemnon was 2 legs, the torso, the head, the gun, an arm, and 2 pieces for the hammer.
Hmm.
So about 2 minutes, maybe. let's just say 3 minutes to remove all the mold lines. But yeah.
Crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's a really good. The unicorn material, that darker grey, is really phenomenal stuff.
Yeah.
The Seriocast is okay. It's getting better. It's improving
Yep.
massively. When it first came out, there were some issues. I've got a Marut, which was one of the first Seriocast miniatures released, and it had a problem with the chest, and there were a couple of issues, but they're getting there. They're improving on that,
Oh,
which
I
is good.
also ordered one of those because I really love the model with the 4 arms and the huge gun and everything.
Yeah,
But
I'm
100
painting one at
points
the
or
moment.
almost 100 points, it's a steep ask for an army list.
So okay, let's put that into context. I have a 300-point army list with 2 in them. Because
Oh.
you send a Marut stomping across the board and everything dies.
I was
Everything.
already looking into how can I put just tags into a warband.
If you want to do that, you have to go nomads. It's possible to put together a nomad list. Well, in N4, it's possible to put a nomad list together with, I think it's 6 tags in one list.
Oh no, but
You can.
nomads are against Aleph, so no.
You might have a point. Sometimes, as a nomad player, we might have a
Yeah.
point. But one thing I wanted to say as well, very briefly, you mentioned Hack, Hack Islam. If I was going to live anywhere in the human sphere, it would be in Hack Islam.
Yeah.
They're a humanist society focused on the unilateral development and support for the growth of humanity as a whole, and the gathering and spreading of knowledge.
Yeah.
That's their whole
I
shtick,
love
and I'm
this
like,
so much.
that works for me. I can do that.
Yeah, this is something that I grew up with, and I can just, I don't know what's the word. It eludes me right now. I can identify with it on so many levels.
Resonates.
Resonates. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's what I meant with Corvus Belli. Is just so respectful with the stuff. I also saw the controversial discussions because Corvus Belli changed the Haq Islam symbol a couple of years back. And for me personally, I do understand that, but a couple of people were against that. And so for context, the first Haq Islam symbol was apparently, because I can't read Arabic, was just Allah or God. And yeah, well, for many Muslim people, that's a big problem. And I get that. For me personally, it's a non-issue because it's a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But if someone has a problem with that, I do get this. So they changed it, and some people were like, I don't like this on an artistic level. What? What do you mean?
We've had it recently, actually, because the Japanese Successionist Army used to have the rising sun symbol. That was their glyph, which is connected to the Imperial Japanese Navy of the Second World War and the atrocities that were completed by them.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So they've changed it. And I'm like,
makes sense.
This is fiction.
No.
This isn't, I'm sorry, it's not real. And if
What do you mean
you know,
it's not real? It's in the future.
the argument of I've seen people make, not just about this but other things, I don't like this from an artistic point of view. Well, actually, the artist chose to make the decision.
No.
So sharp. It's kind of where I'm at with it. There's nothing in my hobby that is important to the point where it should upset someone else.
No.
And there's going to be a whole load of people that are like, "Oh, that's so woke." I don't think I want to upset or offend somebody else with my hobby. That seems like a really petty and stupid thing to do. So, yeah, I mean, it's nice that CB listen to and respond to that kind of stuff and learn and develop. We all should. With new information should come new perspective and new understanding.
Really, I love this so much that they change with the times, basically.
Yeah.
Also,
No, absolutely.
for hack, it's also really funny to me that there are a couple of Turkish words here and there sprinkled throughout, and to hear other people uh, try to pronounce these words. I don't know why, it's just so funny to me, because my Turkish is very broken. Um, because I grew up with 4 languages and only 2 of them are, oh, yeah, well, English and German are my main languages basically. Um, Norsk, Norwegian, I I can almost nothing. There's nothing there anymore. And Turkish is only when I talk to my family. But it's so funny to me. I saw a law video when they talked about the ship. I forgot what it's called. And the creator, also, I'm really sorry, I forgot who made that video, tried to pronounce the name, and I was just there and thought to myself, I never heard someone try to pronounce Turkish words.
It's true. I mean, they have the thing with the CB world. You have so many different things, so many different influences they mixed in, and I've got to a point with things where I'm like, right, this is how I say it. Until
No,
somebody corrects me, at which point I'll be like, yep, that's how I should say it. I've forgotten it already because I know what I'm like.
no.
I will go with my best guess. It's like nomad alguacils, as they're pronounced in England, alguacils. And then you listen to the Spanish guys, and it's something along the lines of alguacile. And I'm like,
Oh,
that's not
wow.
alguacil, mate. It's just you
Yeah.
have that kind of thing, and there's a unit called, mispronounced, a Krizaborak. Borak? Yeah, Krizaborak. But it's, I think, Serbian, and it's supposed to be Krizaborac.
Oh, wow.
So everyone's wandering around talking about the Krizaborak,
No,
and it's a Krizaborac. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's
yeah.
quite cool. I try and Borac it every time I use it. But yeah, there's so many different languages that are melded into it, and they come from different aspects that you kind of like. You get to a point where you just take a philosophical standpoint of, as long as
Mm,
the other person can understand what I'm talking about,
no.
we're fine. We're absolutely fine.
But maybe that's my point of view, but I like that they're trying to mash in all those different languages because maybe I'm overly positive with this, but it ties people together because, like us right now, we can talk about it, and it gives a little bit of more interest into those cultures as well. Because the first time
Absolutely.
I saw the bikers for Hack Islam, I was like,
Mhm.
do they mean sand riders? And I was at the point that I had to Google it, and yeah, because kum is just
Mhm.
sand in Turkish.
Yeah.
And
It's just
I I was second doubting myself. So do they mean that? I don't know.
it's they have so many great influences. I mean, you play Warcrow, and they, even with that, they're trying to subvert expectations. So
Mm,
like the hegemony of Embaseg, the first time you see them, it's like, there's the bad guys. They're all
no,
dressed in the dark colors, and they've got the eye
yeah, the
patch and the
Black
big
Legion.
jackets. This is it, and you're like, they're the bad guys. And then you read the lore, and you're like, nope, these are the good guys. I don't know why I thought they were the bad guys, but they're
No,
actually the good guys. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, this is this kind of imperialistic type film. No, the influence is from Eastern Europe. It's from this very specific area. Okay, this is not what my bias tells me it should be.
mm,
This is something different, and the same with Northern tribes and the Siennan and all these different races that are coming out for Warcry. Corvus Belli work hard to bring influences from different places, bring ideas from different places, and
no,
mix those up so that everything you know, not necessarily here. Here things are different, and that it is a great point of the company. It's something to be
no,
applauded.
definitely.
100%.
Also, one of the reasons why I really want to support them. And I can't
Their
stop myself buying things.
impulse control is an issue. As I
Yeah,
said,
it's
11
sad.
armies. So the struggle is real, but we persist nonetheless.
Yep. So, thank you for your time. because when we do this a little bit longer, then I'm gonna be late for work.
Absolute
Well,
pleasure. Thank you for inviting me along.
they know that I'm gonna be late today, so it's fine.
No, thank you so much for inviting me and taking the time for a
Yeah,
chat. Always happy.
was lovely. Thank you so much. So if both communities have more questions,
Mhm.
we can answer them in the comment sections. Or yeah, well, yes, that's how YouTube works.
Absolutely, absolutely. If there's more questions, I'm happy to answer them. That's not a problem. If there's enough, we can always do a follow up. If you want to do that,
Yeah.
always happy to come back and sit down and
Oh,
have a chat.
that would be lovely. Also, disclaimer: this has been recorded on the 21st because I'm probably not going to be able to upload it today. So if you see this on the weekends and some news has happened, yeah, now you know.
Always news with Infinity. There's always news.
Yeah. Then again, thank you so much. Stay fantastic. Hydrate yourself. Don't forget that. Really important. Go check out Hydra's channel. Really awesome channel with battle reports and how to get into the game as well, or games, more games. Yeah. There is a reason why I asked you to come to have this interview, because also white checks and so. Yeah, then that's for the recording. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks.